Well, good morning, all. It is 10:30 somewhere, so we'll call our meeting to order. This is a public meeting concerning proposed official plan and zoning bylaw amendments pursuant to the Planning Act. We have four files rather, sorry. First is Grey County OPA 26, Township OPA 25, and zoning bylaw amendment C6-25, Ridgeview Lumber. The second is C125, Norman and Salome Martin. The third is C225, Israel Martin. And the fourth is C525, Ian S. Martin. Any person or public body is entitled to attend this public meeting and make written or oral submissions in support of or in opposition to any of the proposed zoning bylaw amendments. Written comments should be submitted to the clerk, Lindsay Green. Please be aware that planning reports will be presented to council when the applicable bylaw is presented for consideration at a council meeting. No person or public body shall be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal unless, before the bylaw was passed, the person or public body made oral submissions at a public meeting or written submissions to the council, or, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to add the person or public body as a party. Anyone wishing to file a notice of appeal is encouraged to seek legal advice on your appeal rights given recent changes to the Planning Act because of Bill 185. So we'll begin with the first file this morning, which is Grey County OPA 26, Township OPA 2-25, and zoning bylaw amendment C6-25, specifically Ridgeview Lumber. The proposal includes three applications under the Planning Act, an amendment to Grey County's Planning Act, or official plan rather, the Township of Southgate official plan, and the Township's zoning bylaw. The purpose of the proposed applications are to permit the expansion of an existing on-farm diversified use, a lumberyard, including an outdoor storage area, a total of 1,805 square meters, and proposed covered storage building, 373 square meters. The location of the subject lands is Lot 18, Concession 13, Geographic Township of Croton, now in the Township of Southgate. The civic address is 185673 Grey Road 9. May I please have confirmation from the Grey County Intermediate Planner, Cassandra Dillman, that proper notice was given in accordance with the Planning Act?
Correct. Yes, it was.
Thank you. I will now ask for Grey County Intermediate Planner, Cassandra. Am I saying that? Cassandra. Sorry, Cassandra Dillman, to review correspondence received from commenting agencies. Cassandra, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you. I'll just wait for my presentation and I will go over the comments as well in the presentation. Am I too far away here? Is that better?
It's all good.
All right, wonderful. Okay, so thank you. My name is Cassandra Dillman, and I am the county planner assigned to this file. So both Bill, who is online, will be doing this presentation jointly. So in my presentation today, I will provide a confirmation of the notice, which I have already done there, a little bit about the development review process, and then we'll do a summary of the applications. So the notice of public meeting was circulated to all internal and external agencies and First Nations and two interested parties that requested notice on March 5th. So I will also note that the notice and the submitted planning justification report, they indicate that there's a proposed open air covered storage structure. However, the applicant, they clarify that the structure is enclosed. So we circulated another notice on March 12th with that clarification. So it doesn't affect the nature of the relief requested. The structure was included in the lot calculations, lot coverage calculations. Simply now there's walls around those structures, around that one structure. As we don't have anybody from the public in attendance here, I won't go too into depth on the development review process, but I have tried to sort of illustrate something that can be a little bit complicated in a linear manner. So just note that some of these steps may happen at the same time. Some of them, that order may be changed. But if there's any questions about the decision making, please let me know. And I will leave. Bill, great. I see you're online. If you can do the site context.
Sure. I think we're looking at slide 5 right now. Um, Members of council and staff obviously very familiar with this site as it's right next door to the township office. It has frontage on Gray Road 9. It's I guess about 100-acre parcel, 40-hectare lands. There's been considerable amount of filling over the years. I believe you've watched it change before your eyes since the original on-farm diversified use went in. There's a farmhouse and then a series of buildings on the property, existing and proposed. There's 2 driveways. One of them kind of winds up and shares the same entrance as the municipal office. This is an interesting property, one that we had a look at in the summer when I was last visiting, and just because of the extent of the operations, the filling that's occurred, and the difference in grade between the lumber area and the agricultural operation that occurs on sort of the remainder of the property. And the
Okay.
next slide, I think, is Cassandra.
That's okay. Thank you. So the proposal is an expansion of that existing on-farm diversified use, being the lumberyard, to include the larger outdoor storage area and a new storage area. So in terms of the proposed county official plan amendment, the property is designated rural and hazards in the county OP. And the amendment would have the effect of redesignating the lands to rural and rural site specific, as well as maintaining that hazard land designation. So you can see there in the image on the right in red, that would be the portion of the property subject to the amendment. And then more specifically there, that county official plan amendment would increase the overall area of that on-farm diversified use. So that's the area inclusive of all the buildings, the laneways, the parking, the outdoor storage areas, increasing that by 1,300 meters squared. That currently the official plan permits parcels over 20 hectares in the rural designation, the lesser of 2% of the total size of the property, or a maximum of 8,000 meters squared. So I have that sort of illustrated there in the chart. And then I'll note that no relief is required regarding the gross floor areas of the buildings associated with the on-farm diversified use from the county official plan. And then Bill will go into that a little bit more in just a minute. This is a site plan here of the proposal. The outdoor storage area, just 2 places here. So the outdoor storage area is sort of like hashed there with the letter F. And then that proposed storage building is in the solid red with a B3, I believe that is there. And then Bill can do an overview of the proposed official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment.
Sure, thank you. The big difference, I guess, in this one from the township official plan perspective is that, unlike the county plan, the floor area of the on-farm diversified uses are limited to 750 square meters. There's no cap on that in the county official plan, so that section has to be amended as far as this particular site goes. It actually is going to have 1,123 square meters of buildings total. So, and then there's outdoor storage. Typically, for these uses, it's limited to 500 square meters. This one has over 1,800 square meters in it. So those provisions in the official plan and zoning bylaw are to be dealt with through the amendment. I don't know if you want me to do the comments. I can do that quickly. The were no comments from the the risk management official. The Conservation Authority notes that the natural hazard policies provincially and locally are met by this provision. The Métis and Enbridge Gas did not have any objections, and Township Public Works noted that there was safe access to the street. And then I think that's it for me. Cassandra, did I cover everything I was supposed to cover?
I think so, Bill. Thank you.
You
Cassandra,
did, Bill, thank you. I'll just add that the county transportation staff have since commented as well. And they just noted that a commercial entrance is required. The width on that one entrance, it does seem wide enough, but it'll need to be paved, and there is just some other modifications there. And then county ecology staff have also since commented, and they had no concerns. And that concludes our presentation.
very good. Thank
you.
you very much, Cassandra, and thank you, Bill, for that report. Any questions or discussion from council at this time? There will be another opportunity, of course. Okay, not seeing any right now. I'll ask if the applicant or agent is present. Please identify yourself by stating your name for the record, and would you like to make any representation on the application?
Good morning. I'm Jillian Smith. I'm the agent who made the application. I work at MHBC as a senior planner.
Very good.
We
Welcome.
prepared the planning justification report that was submitted in support of this application.
Okay.
I think Cassandra did a great job explaining the application, and I don't need to be redundant, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you. I'll now ask if there's anyone present who would like to make a submission in support of this application. I'll ask if there's anyone present who would make a submission in opposition to this application. And not hearing from any, I'll ask one further time. Are there any questions or further discussion from members of council? Barb.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the presentations. Very thorough, but I do have some questions and concerns. And educate me. The permitted maximum size of 8,000 meters squared is in the provincial planning statement. So the province, is that the maximum the province allows, or is this simply what we have been more restrictive?
Through your worship to the deputy mayor, maybe I'll start and then I'll let Cassandra and Bill
Absolutely.
jump in.
Yep.
The provincial planning statement actually doesn't set a limit. Where guidance is really taken is from OMAFRA's permitted uses, which suggest that 2% is the maximum, but it leaves the planning authority, whether that is the county as an upper tier or a municipality that is a single tier, or even the township, to set that limit. Generally speaking, most municipalities, in my experience, do go with OMAFRA's suggested 2%, but there is no actual number at the provincial level. What it suggests is to think very carefully about how much land you actually take out of the agricultural use.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So my understanding is the 2% maximum is the recommended from the province, and what our OPA can be more restrictive. It's a guideline that we should maintain. I do, with regard to on Cassandra's presentation, page 10 of 12, when you put it into what is existing, what is proposed, and the total, the proposed is additional to what is existing and is significant. It's almost 3 times the recommended maximum for outdoor storage and twice the amount for what 750, and we're now adding another half again. I didn't have as many concerns when it was just a carport type storage facility, but now you're saying that they're going to close it in. What measures are in place to prevent it from becoming more manufacturing? And I noticed that on the map or the site plan on page 9, it says storage building for drywall and insulation. So it's no longer just lumber, it is building materials. So this is becoming a mini Home Depot or something, perhaps, which is not a bad thing because we could certainly get the word out and, builders could certainly make benefit of it, or homeowners. I do have a concern that we're making an exception of a significant amount. I know in total it's only 0.25%, but is this the beginning of many more to come? Thank you. I don't know what questions are in there, but my concerns are the significance in the expansion. Even though it's only 2.25%, the buildings and outdoor storage have significantly increased, and I do have concerns.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from council? Oh, Cassandra, go ahead, please. Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. I was just going to add on that one last piece on your question that, each application is sort of reviewed on its own merits. And that is, we're hearing some of that information and gathering that information today. In terms of some of the points in your other questions, I'm not sure if Bill wanted to add on to that at all, but some of those items, they can be included into the provisions within the draft zoning bylaw as well. Some of those restrictions on the manufacturing space versus the use of the storage.
Thank you, Cassandra. Bill, did you have any comments you wanted to make?
Just in support of what has been said already, that we'll have a look at it as we analyze this further. I think the point is a pretty good one about the extent to which this OFDU is a little bit different than traditional. But I think that, subject to reviewing it in detail and going through all the layout and so forth in much more detail, I think there are ways to regulate the things that we're talking about. And the last point, I guess, would be that this is a rural designation, so it's a little more forgiving. And it also has in that designation permitted uses as contractors' yards. So I know when we were considering this application, because it is, a fairly substantial departure, I guess, from traditional, we note that we had a discussion about the fact that contractors' yards are permitted, and even though it isn't traditionally exactly that, it has characteristics similar to it. So I think the rural designation helps with the analysis. And I think when we get into the zoning bylaw, we can look at ways to, and the site plan control, we can look at ways to make sure spaces are used as they're proposed.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Jillian, on behalf of the applicant, do you wish to make any comments on those questions?
The only comment that I had, Bill kind of touched on, which is that this is a rural designation where contractors' yards are permitted. And like Bill said, it may not necessarily fall exactly into a contractor's yard, but it does have those characteristics that would suggest that it kind of does fall into that category. So out of an abundance of caution, we went the route of a non-farm diversified use, but I think it kind of straddles both.
Okay,
yeah.
Good, thank you. Any further questions on this one? Oh, Martin, go ahead.
Just a comment. I kind of agree, it is a really big expansion. And I know I've asked the questions before, rural and agricultural, it's allowed in rural, but again, it comes to the question, looking at the maps on page 7 with all the hazard lands. I know you can use hazard lands for pasture, but again, this is the one thing, which on-farm diversified uses are supposed to supplement the farm income. So again, it's always been one of my questions, which one is serving which here with this expansion? Like, so, and that's something we can't ask, but because of privacy, but it is a fairly big expansion, you know, pushing the envelope in many ways. So even to something like, is there a different tax classification? Because they're not producing anything, they're just basically selling. So there's that to consider too, I guess. So that's just a comment.
Okay, thanks, Martin. Any other questions on this file? Okay, thank you so much. I think, Cassandra, that's all for you. Thank you very much for coming and good to see you. And you're absolutely welcome to stay for the others. I know planning is a riveting topic for your, well, I know. So anyway, thank you, Jillian. All right, the second file this morning to consider is C-125 for Norman and Salome Martin. The purpose of the application is to relocate the area zoned agricultural 1 exception 446 on the subject lands permitted or permitting an on-farm diversified use and to change the requirements of the A1 446 zone as follows. Increase the floor area of the proposed shop from 250 square meters to 400 square meters, including the existing home industry on site, and decrease the outside storage from 670 square meters to 270 square meters. The effect is to allow a 400 square meter metal works shop as an on-farm diversified use with 270 square meters maximum outdoor storage accessory to the existing ag use, which includes a farmhouse and barn. Location of the subject lands, concession 2, Southwest Toronto Sydenham Road, part lot 221, part lot 222. Geographic Township of Proton, Township of Southgate. The civic address is 752395 Ida Street. May I please have confirmation from Planning Coordinator Alicia Millen that proper notice was given in accordance with the Planning Act?
Yes, through the chair. Notice was given in accordance with the Planning Act. The sign was posted on the subject lands and the mail notification sent out to property owners within 120 meters.
Most excellent. Thank you, Alicia. I'll now ask our junior planner, Victoria Mance, to review correspondence received from commenting agencies. Victoria, please.
Thank you. Okay. So comments were received. I'll start off with Grey County. They did indicate that the 9.5 hectare lot permits a total area of 1,900 square meters, and a gross floor area for any structures is limited to 380 square meters. So the applicant's proposed use will cover an area of approximately 2,000 square meters. So therefore, it would not, and also the 400 square meters as well, as opposed to 380 square meters as recommended. So Grey County identified that it does not conform with the county OP, wherein county staff recommend the application be deferred until the size of the proposed use and shop conform with the county OP. Just to note, the applicant is aware of these comments and is willing to update the application accordingly, as well as the site plan. Comments were received from Enbridge Gas, the Historic Saugeen Métis, and Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority, which all indicated there were no concerns regarding the application. Grace Sabo, also representing the risk management official, indicated that the property is not located within a vulnerable source protection area and also had no concerns. And Township Public Works indicated that safe access can be provided and a commercial paved entrance is required. And at this time, no public comments were received.
Thank you, Victoria. Comments, questions, discussion from council? Barb.
Thank you. And through you to Victoria, it appears from the aerial map and from the information in the notice and the application that they want to move the home business to become an on-farm diversified use metal workshop closer to the farm cluster, which in itself would be good, but it's also moving it closer to 2 residential lots that border this particular property, that are in like 2 residential lots that are not farm parcels. If the map is, if I'm reading the map correctly. So anyway, I'll leave that there as a concern to be explained that they're wanting to move a home business to be part of the farm cluster, but then create an on-farm diversified use metal fabrication, which creates noise and more traffic and things like that.
If I may, through you.
Please. Yeah, please,
Um,
Victoria, go ahead.
That's something definitely we can address in our assessment and in our report too. We can make sure to address any D6 analysis concerns. And again, staff always usually include a map as well in our attachments, and I can make sure to include some setbacks from the nearby residences just to address any concerns.
Thank you, Victoria. Any other questions for now? I will now ask if the applicant or agent is present. Please identify yourself by stating your name for the record, and would you like to make any representation on the application?
Yes, Solomon Martin, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Solomon. Welcome.
Hello. I don't have much to say, but yes, I will update, and I had actually sent Victoria an updated drawing to reduce it from 2,000 square meters to 1,900 and the building area from 400 to 380. And that T6 guidelines requires a 70-meter setback from residential houses, and that is also met. So that's all I have to say, really.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there anyone present who would like to make a submission in support of this application? Is there anyone present who would like to make a submission in opposition to this application? Any further questions from council? Nope, not hearing any at this time. So we'll move on to our next file, which is C225 for Israel Martin. The purpose of the application is to change the requirements of the Ag 1 exception 408 on the subject lands permitting an on-farm diversified use as follows. Change the use of the existing shop from metalworks, welding, small equipment and parts manufacture and repair to woodworking. Increase the floor area of the proposed shop to 717.75 plus or minus square meters, including lumber drying, kilns, power room, and shop. Remove the limit of a maximum of 5 employees plus owner and increase this outdoor storage from 395 square meters to 563.5 square meters plus or minus. The effect is to allow a 717.75 square meters woodworking shop as an on-farm diversified use with 563.5 square meters maximum outdoor storage accessory to the existing ag use, which includes a farmhouse, barn, shed, and skid steer room. The number of employees in the on-farm diversified use would not be limited in the zoning bylaw. The location of the subject lands are Concession 4, Southwest Toronto Sydenham Road, Lot 239 to 240, Geographic Township of Proton, in the Township of Southgate. The civic address is 712007 Southgate Side Road 71. May I please have confirmation from Planning Coordinator Alicia Millen that proper notice was given in accordance with the Planning Act?
Yes, through the chair, notice was given in accordance with the Planning Act. The sign was posted on the subject property and mailing notification sent out to property owners within 120 meters.
Most excellent. Thank you, Alicia. I'll now ask our junior planner, Victoria Mance, to review correspondence received from commenting agencies. Victoria, please.
Thank you. Okay, so for this file, comments were received from Grey County, Enbridge Gas, the Historic Saugeen Métis, and Township Public Works. They all indicated that there were no concerns regarding the application. The Grand River Conservation Authority also identified that the proposed development is outside of their regulated area and have no objection to the proposed. Grace Savo, who is representing the risk management official, also indicated that the property is not located within the vulnerable source protection area and had no concerns for the application. And as well, there's also Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority area on the site. So the staff indicated that the rezoned area will not be located within their approximate screening area, and therefore they do not require a permit and have no concerns. And at this time, there were no public comments received.
Very good. Thank you, Victoria. Any questions from council at this time? Okay, not seeing any for now. I'll now ask if the applicant or agent is present. Please identify yourself by stating your name for the record, and would you like to make any representation on your application? Okay. Is there anyone present who'd like to make a submission in support of this application? And conversely, is there anyone present who'd like to make a submission in opposition to this application? Any further questions or discussion from council members? Go ahead, Barb.
Thank you, and through you. I may have written this down wrong, but I had that to permit a on-farm diversified use with 300 square meters outside storage, but the notice is 563.5. I may have just written this down wrong. But one of my questions was, is there an on-site water reservoir required for this facility?
Victoria, did the fire department respond to the request for comments?
No, unfortunately, no comments from the fire department. I can clarify and include that in the report if that's something of concern. Typically, depending on the size of the OFD, we don't receive comments from the fire department.
So it sounds like perhaps maybe some answers from the fire department on this particular file would be warranted in your report when it comes, please.
Sure. Yep, I can make sure
Excellent.
to reach out to them.
Yep, thank you. Any other questions from council on this file? Okay, not seeing any. We'll move on to our fourth and I believe final. Yep, one is C5-25 for Ian S. Martin. The purpose of the proposed rezoning is to permit an on-farm diversified use, dry manufacturing and woodworking on the subject lands within a proposed 4,252 square meter plus or minus zoned area. The proposed workshop and skid steer power room would have a maximum contributed or combined area of plus or minus 625 square meters with plus or minus 300 square meters of outdoor storage. The on-farm diversified use would be operated secondary to proposed farmhouse, shed, and barn. The effect of the proposed rezoning would be to permit an on-farm diversified use, dry manufacturing and woodworking, shop and skid steer and outdoor storage associated with a proposed farmhouse, shed, and barn. The location of the subject lands is Concession 4, Southwest Toronto-Sydenham Road, Lot 217, Part Lot 216, RP 16R11841, Part 1, Geographic Township of Southgate, or Proton rather, Township of Southgate. Civic address is 712507 Southgate Side Road 71. May I please have confirmation from Planning Coordinator Alicia Milne that proper notice was given in accordance with the Planning Act?
Through the chair, yes, notice was given in accordance with the Planning Act. The sign was posted on the subject property and mailing notifications sent out to property owners within 120 meters.
Most excellent. Thank you, Alicia. I'll now ask our planner, Victoria Mance, to review correspondence received from commenting agencies. Victoria, please.
Thank you. Okay, so comments received from Grey County, they indicated that provided D6 guidelines can be addressed, which is typical from their comments for OFDUs. They had an additional comment that I thought was important to add. They had positive comments, and granted that positive comments are received from the Conservation Authority, county staff have no concerns. Further comments received from Enbridge Gas, Historic Stoggy, and Métis as well. They indicated no concerns with the application. The Township Public Works identified that safe access can be provided and a commercial paved entrance is required as well. Grace Sabel, representing the risk management official, also indicated that the property is not located within a vulnerable source protection area and had no concerns. And the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority indicated that based on previous review and comments provided for the consent application prior to this rezoning application, they issued a permit for filling and grading within the wetland and the installation of the new laneway as well. A floodplain study and EIS was completed and the SVCA staff deemed it was acceptable. So they also recommend that the hazard land area designation in the EP zone be revised slightly to be smaller to best represent the site conditions. And based on the proposed, the area to be rezoned for the OFDU will not be within the EP zone or of the hazard land area and does not require a permit. And at this time, no public comments were received.
That's excellent. Thank you, Victoria. Any questions from council at this time? Okay, not seeing any for now. I'll now ask if the applicant or agent is present. Please identify yourself by stating your name for the record, and would you like to make representation on your application?
Yes, Solomon Martin again.
Yeah, go ahead, Solomon.
Victoria covered everything, I think. I don't have anything to add.
Really? We're trying to stretch this out a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Thank you, Solomon.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone present who'd like to make a submission in support of this application? Is there anyone present who would like to make submission in opposition to this application? And I will ask a further final time. Are there any questions, discussion from members of council? Barb, go ahead, please.